on the hour. I'm curious, doing press for this film in North America versus going to Europe and doing this, where, as Henry Rollins once said, World War II is still an ouch. Like, it's still a big deal.
Yeah, I was, you know, growing up in America and living here, I lived in Canada for a while, you have a whole different,
One from Ottawa on the back.
From Ottawa? No, no one's from Ottawa here.
Yeah. We actually have a policy.
Is there a policy?
We have a policy. We figured one or two Ottawa.
Right, I didn't know that.
How old were you in Ottawa? Like 9, 10, 11, that era?
Yeah. Where, yeah. Me now?
No, when you were in Ottawa.
Yeah. 9, 10, 11.
Yeah. What are you, 21 now?
Yeah,
22?
How old was I? I was about 8, 9, 10 years old.
Those are formative years in a young man's life.
Formative years.
I heard that you, your mom didn't want you to be a hockey player, but you...
Yeah, she said, you're going to knock your teeth out doing that. And actually, I had figure skates, and when you moved to, and it was like, no one talked to you if you didn't know how to skate. So I would go to the ice skating rink late at night and skate until I learned. I said, look, I can skate now. Please give me a pair of hockey skates. So, I'm tired of being tortured at school.
All right, Valkyrie, in Europe, what did you screen this for a German audience?
No, we screened it for American audiences, for German audiences, and it's very powerful, screening it for an audience. To see, you don't know how a film's going to translate for any audience, when you're making it, because I want to entertain people, like watching an audience, and they're similar in that they don't move. You know that your tension and your story and the humor is working. And for a German audience, it's very moving. It obviously has a whole different meaning for them, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of the film. I'm very proud of what we all did.
How do you quantify a movie as a success? How do you decide if a film's a success or not? Is it different from how it was?
Well, I think you always want the movie to make its money back, and then some. There's that financial aspect, and then there's the artistic success of, did we accomplish, are we communicating what we think we're communicating to an audience? And also then there's the years later, are people still talking about it? Do they still think about that film? Is it still a relevant film? Because that's how you can judge it.
I think you're going to get that for years and years for your performance in Tropic Thunder. That was one of those moments where it's like, oh my God, Tom Cruise is dancing, and he's in there.
Try to give a few oh my gods to some audience.
How did that come to that film? Because you're leading man, you don't have to do those kinds of films, but I suppose you just wanted that.
Yeah, I like all different kinds of movies. I was working on the film with Ben, and I work with friends on different films, and we were talking about it, and I said, well, where's the studio? You need a studio for the structure. And he said, we started working, and he came back and he wrote this character. And we were just, because he's a buddy of mine, we were hanging out. I said, okay, no, I want to play this character. And I said, I want to have fat hands. And I said, and I want to dance. And he looked at me a moment, he says, fat hands and dance. He said, oh, okay. So then as we were developing the character in the makeup test, I just started dancing just to give him an idea of the kind of dancing that I wanted to do. And there wasn't music to it, and then he edited it together, and he said, this is hilarious. And he found that piece of music, and he cut it together, and so I just started working on the dancing.
Taps, Sean Penn. You go to Los Angeles. Sean Penn, a young Sean Penn, picks you up at the airport.
Yeah.
You were for Tom Cruise?
He says, you got to come out to L.A. We just finished it, and Penn said, you got to come. So he picked me up after we finished shooting Taps.
You were young, too.
I was 18 years old. I was 18. And we got in the car and we drove around. We drove to Hoffman's house outside. Or, at least what we thought was Dustin Hoffman's house. Jack Nicholson. And we sat outside those houses thinking, talking about, what do you think these guys are doing now? Brando's house, we went to that too. And just spent the night sitting outside like, what do you think they're doing? Thinking about it.
Today that's called stalking, Tom.
Yeah, I know.
So every now and then when
you go, should we knock on the door? No, we can't knock on the door.
You ever look out your window now and see somebody parked out in front and goes, that's just the next Tom Cruise sitting there?
Not yet.
But then Hoffman and Nicholson, all of a sudden you're in, you got Rain Man with Hoffman, Few Good Men with Nicholson.
I know.
Life's a funny thing.
It is a funny thing. And I told them the stories. It took me a while to hang out with them to make sure that they knew, And then one day Nicholson opened up and was telling me stories about Chinatown. incredible stories. And I said, well, I got a story for you. Maybe not quite as good as your Chinatown stories, but, and then with Dustin, and Dustin, of course, said, you should have knocked on the door. You should have knocked on it. He would have, Dustin would have had us in there.
Did you do your Jack Nicholson in front of Jack Nicholson? Your impersonation was pretty bang on.
Yeah, I did actually. The side he goes, not bad, not bad.
I wonder what those guys, because there's no training to be a movie star. There's training in a sense to be an artist in terms of getting you into the door. But what you do with it, how you evolve, how you grow as a man in that, there's no real training unless you get a mentor who's got your best interest.
I was lucky because I didn't have training, really. I watched a lot of movies, and even then, you didn't know how movies were made, but when I started working, when I did taps, and I didn't know whether that was ever going to be, if I was ever going to work again, but I loved movies so much. I'd be in the camera truck, I'd be in the wardrobe, in props, and to be able to hang out and hear from Tim Hutton and Sean Penn, guys who had grown up in acting and having parents that were actors.
Oh, they had Falcon and the Snowman, which was incredible.
Yeah, they did Falcon and the Snowman, unbelievable. He's, very talented, extremely talented. And so to have that, I felt very fortunate. And then to work with Dustin Hoffman and Paul Newman and Hackman, Duvall, these guys that, towering legends that you just sit there, pay attention, learn, and
I thought about you when Paul Newman...
hopefully learn something.
I thought about you when Paul Newman passed, because he played a huge role in your life.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, with the Color Money, obviously there was a lot of it. I don't know at the end, if you guys still had the kind of relationship. But I wondered...
We always have that rapport, even though our lives, you get busy, but it was always
what did he
that
mean to you?
feeling. Well, I think, when you talk about people who, right then, when I did Color of Money, Top Gun and Color of Money, to have that guy who had been there, done that, been through the fires and had the victories, he's just a guy that I always admired. I think the way that he lived his life and how he cared about people, and was very generous in that way as an artist. And he's someone who constantly pushed himself as an artist, and also was a family man and was married and children, and it meant a lot to me. Not that he would sit down and mentor, but he's just an example for life. And he also, you knew you were doing well. I remember after, I think it was, after Rain Man and Born the 4th of July, to get that call and, we'd hang out or something. He goes, well, you're doing good, kid, to get that kind of support and just, he was just a very special artist and a very special man, and I hear his voice sometimes in my head as when things are happening, and he's a good guy.
At what point did you realize that you were being taken seriously as an actor? Because a lot, when you came on the scene, they were like, oh, pretty Tom Cruise is, and all that stuff, and then you run around in your underwear and all that, right?
Yeah.
But it's hard for people to make that transition from being...
I was happy to be running around.
Is that what you did that at home?
I was like, I don't care what people are saying, I'm making movies. I'm really happy to make movies.
Yeah, but I didn't...
Actually, I have done it at home.
It just...
when I was a kid.
To that song?
Yeah, it hasn't... Well, I don't know whether that song... Don't people do that? Music, singing, we all do that.
Every damn night.
We all do that, man.
Every damn night. What, how do you know? Are you watching me? No. But at what point did you get a sense that, I think people are starting to get that I'm an actor now, that it is more than just that?
I never really, I tried not to think about things like that. I was looking at, okay, they're going to let me make another movie. I get another opportunity. And for me, it was always just learn my craft. Learn my craft, be appreciative for the opportunities that I have, and just keep going. I get to make the movie. And, when I'm making a film, it's 24/7, and I want it to be everything it is. So that's kind of how and everything else that people say or what happens, and then it's really nice, and it's not things that I ignore, but you can't have that be the driving force, otherwise it's just... Yeah, for me, there's times where I felt for myself certain points of even just acting in risky business, a starring role. I was very young, and I thought, okay, this could be it. And then you know, you think, okay, you know, the next film and the next film, and certain moments where when I heard Dustin Hoffman wanted to work with me, or I remember meeting Steven Spielberg after he had done E.T., and he said, you know, you and I should make a film together, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, you know, and really, okay, and then with Hoffman and Born 4th of July, those years for me, and Newman and Color of Money, thinking, okay, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? And really just focusing on learning, always, for me. Understanding cinematic storytelling.
We can talk about some of those early roles and see what Tom thought the first time he saw himself on TV in like Endless Love or something. Or Tom Cruise, we come back.